Well, this shooting, like so many others, is provoking anger, it's provoking frustration for many, obviously, around the country. What has been so striking here in Parkland is the response from some of the students, from some of the survivors who are now speaking out in hopes of change. Cameron Kasky is one of those survivors speaking out. Here's part of what he wrote to CNN. He said, "We can't ignore the issues of gun control that this tragedy raises, and so I'm asking, no, demanding we take action now." Why? Because at the end of the day, the students at my school felt one shared experience, that our politicians had abandoned us by failing to keep assault weapons out of our school. And I'm joined by Cameron Kasky right now. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you think you see this as a catalyst for change? I mean, I've never been to a school after a shooting like this where I've met so many students who are talking about issues of guns in this time when so many politicians are saying now is not the time to talk about it.
Everybody has done an amazing job responding to this. The Stoneman Douglas community, the Parkland community, everybody was an equal amount of supportive and grieving and inspired. And we're going to use this to try and make something better out of it.
Do you really think change is possible in terms of, for what the kind of change you want?
Everything I've heard where we can't do anything and this is just out of our hands is inevitable, I think that's a facade that the GOP is putting up. I think that's what they want us to think. I think that after every shooting, the NRA sends them a memo saying, send your thoughts and prayers, say let's not talk about it now, say this happens. This is the only country where this kind of thing happens. I've been hearing things from people, they don't have gun drills the way we do. We had to prepare extensively at Stoneman Douglas, and that shocked people. This is something that can be stopped, and this is something that will be stopped.
Yeah, I talked to the football coach yesterday who was saying that this school, in its 28 years, this school was the most prepared than any school he had ever taught in. I mean, they'd had repeated drills. Any school that could have been ready for something like this, there was a single point of entry, there was an armed guard, and yet it happened.
The faculty at Stoneman Douglas is amazing. Our security guards are all dedicated. Aaron Face, he died protecting us, and all of them knew exactly what they were doing. We've been through this a million times. We've talked about it a million times. We've had good discussions about this. We thought we were the last people who were going to have to deal with this. And if we didn't have the faculty we did, this could have been a lot worse.
Obviously there are a lot of politicians who are focusing on mental health and saying, look, something needs to be done about that, greater focus on mental health.
I think mental health is important. I think that it's being used as a way to get out of discussing gun control, but I think there's a very clear connection between the two. I'm not trying to take everybody's guns away, but there was a 19-year-old who legally bought an AR-15, which is a weapon of war, and if he had been through the least bit of screening, somebody would have said, this person does not need a weapon like that. And I think there need to be a lot more regulations put on guns, and it needs to be a lot harder to get them.
So, you're a junior right now. Obviously, you're already thinking about college, but thinking about what you want to do afterward. Has this changed your thought about what you may want to do with your life?
Absolutely. I've always been inspired. I think I've always been passionate in how to drive, but this is something completely new. This feels like a calling. This doesn't feel like a hobby. I'm trying to spread as much awareness about this as I can, and I hope to continue doing that as long as it takes.
You have a brother who has special needs. You wanted to say and compliment the police officers, because you went in to take care of your brother, make sure he was okay. You were in the room when the officers came in.
BSO and the SWAT team, everybody handled it better than I could have possibly wished or expected. When the SWAT team broke the window and came in, they were pointing assault rifles at us. They were saying, put your hands up. And the teacher in the room had to say, just so you know, there are special needs kids in here who might not be able to do that. That was very scary, but they handled it in such an amazing way. They took good care of us, they made us feel safe, and all of the special needs students, including my brother, were able to get there as seamlessly as possible, all things considered.
You've set up a Facebook page as well that you want people to know about.
Yes, we started it's called Never Again MSD. It's just it's a central place for people in Broward and all over the world who are sending their support, because we've gotten amazing support from everybody. A lot of people feel the same way we do. A lot of people want to show everybody in the polls that we're not having this anymore.
Were you at the vigil last night?
I was at the vigil yesterday. And it was painful to see how many people were touched by this. And it's good to know that everybody's inspired. There's a section of society that will just shrug this off and send their thoughts and prayers, but will march for hours when they have to bake a rainbow wedding cake. You know what I mean?
Do you worry that this will become a week from now, when the media moves on, that this will become just another in a long line of tragedies?
That was a thought I had, but I'm not worried because I've never seen this reaction before. Everybody is sending in support. Everybody believes in what we're doing, and everybody says, okay, we're done believing that this is inevitable. This can be stopped. This needs to be stopped.
So for those who are saying, thoughts and prayers, and this is not the time to talk about guns.
This is the time to talk about guns. Thoughts and prayers are appreciated, and everybody who's thinking about us and sending support, we do hear you, and we appreciate you, and we thank you. But there's much more that can be done, much more that needs to be done, and much more that people like Marco Rubio and Rick Scott are not doing. And it's scary to think that these are the people who are making our laws when our community just took 17 bullets to the heart. And it feels like the only people who don't care are the people making the laws.
Well, Cameron, I appreciate your time. I'm so sorry for what you've been through.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you the best. Thank you. Cameron Cascade.